We're live. Let's get going. Thank you so much. I have no idea how many people we're gonna have here. So if you're here, let me know because I didn't really post a link. It was very haphazard. Now is the chance for me to discover whether actually posting a link on Instagram and other places does something, or it's just whoever finds it anyway. But thank you so much. Let me check the audio is okay. Kind of sloppy with my mic distance. Yes, sounds like we're good. Let me know if there's any trouble. Happy to see you here. It's been a while. It's been 2 weeks without a live stream. I was just super busy with things that captivated me. Hello, Wanted. How are you? Hey, Christina. I was just really captivated by a couple of things I wanted to focus on. I wanted to work on. It was not, none of it was intentional. It was just, I knew this is something I want to work on, and I just did this kind of a letting go and let myself do it and explore these things. Now, and I will share some of it with you. Hey, John, how are you doing? Hope everything is well with you too. Hey, Henny, let me know how it goes with the painting you sent me. Hope it goes well. Like I said, very often Henny sent me some wonderful paintings, a wonderful painting recently, and then another one in the process. And Henny, you said that you have kind of no idea what you're doing. I'm like that for most processes, especially in the beginning. It can be very much a matter of discovery. You have no idea, and you're just doing some things on paper to see what happens, and then reacting to those things. That's sometimes just how it is. Hey, Cheyenne. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for the kind words. Hey, Swayam. How are you? Thank you so much. Hope you're enjoying it. I'm going to try making this live stream as listenable as possible. So if you just want to put on headphones, go for a jog, go for a walk, walk the dog, paint, draw as we speak. It's a great opportunity. I have this much coffee left here, and I have some water, and we're ready to go. And he says, thank you, I've finished it, and it's not so wonderful, but I will send the finished product now. Yeah, send it over. I'm sure it's better than you think. There were a lot of darks there, a lot of highlights, and few highlights, then tons of darks. Sometimes, I don't know what you did there, but sometimes those darks can throw you off a bit, and if you just paint them all black, it can end up boring. I'm curious to see what you've been doing. Katerina, how are you doing? Are you a Katerina, the painter, the really good painter, the one that I'm following? I'm not sure. Let me know if that's you, or maybe I'm confusing with an artist with a similar last name. I'm not sure. But in any case, you might be another good painter. So thank you so much for being here. Candy, I was just watching one of your videos and saw you live. Yes, as I mentioned in the story. Okay, sorry, Katerina. Probably confusing you with someone else. I don't recognize the profile pic, so it was just a shot in the dark, as they say. Just a crazy guess. Yes, I did. I barely announced this live stream. I just knew there's going to be a live stream today, and I was just a bit irresponsible yesterday. I've been really carried away by digital work I'm working on. Can't share it yet. Will share it once it's done because it's for the contest, or E4 contest. If you know, you know. It's a cool artwork, original I'm working on. It just, sometimes you just feel like doing something, and that's the thing. You can't avoid it. It's inevitable that you'll do it. Almost like, if an interesting analogy is, let's say you want to go to work or to whatever. You have a car ride somewhere. Do you ever not get there? You probably 99.9% of the time when you go somewhere, you plan to go somewhere, you go there. You didn't have to think about it. You didn't have to do anything. You just went and you got there. That's kind of how I feel with this. I just had a feeling I have to sit down and work on this, so I just did. So I got really carried away, and then I just forgot to schedule a live stream. Then I went to do the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu workout yesterday. I can tell you about that too. It was one of my best, most enjoyable ones. And yeah, there we go. So at night I was like, at least I'll drop a story saying there's gonna be a live stream. But in any case, yeah. And by the way, if anyone has a question about watercolor art, anything at all, feel free to drop it in the chat. So yeah, happy you're here, Candy. Hey, Alexander. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Connie. Hope you're doing well too. Joshua, my friend, how are you? Arib, how are you doing? Yeah, definitely, Katerina. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Pam, good morning. Coffee in hand, ready to watch and spend some time with you. Thank you so much. Gavin, hi from Melbourne. I was also just watching one of your videos when you were going to do another interior. It's interesting that you ask because this digital work I'm doing is an interior. However, you are correct. It's been a while. It's been a while since I did an interior scene, and I love interior scenes. The last one I did was the one I posted. What did I call it? Like daily life or something? With just the living room. That's an interior. I think you know it. I have it here. I have a few works that I've been working on. Let me. Okay, so if I switch over to the webcam, you can hear me from afar too. I think you should be able to hear me now. Yeah. So this one, just making sure. Sorry for the terrible. I shouldn't have screamed. This one, which you probably have seen. That was the last kind of interior painting I did. I have a few more that I will show you, but mostly a lot of experiments. I've been experimenting a lot and really letting it carry me wherever. So yeah, I'm probably due for another interior kind of view for a tutorial. So we'll get to that. For Sunday, I actually don't yet have a video planned. I did film the exclusive process for Patreon that I said I will do. It's a weird one, but I wanted to share it with you. It's a night scene. I just took this picture at night. I love this car and the sharp shadows. I will share a clearer maybe scan later on, but that's gonna be because it's a very long process. It's very tedious too, but I think some people will benefit from it. So I decided, and I said I'll do something special for Patreon, so it's gonna go there. And yeah. Oh, I actually have an idea for Saturday's video. I know what I'll do. If I'll make it in time. If not, it's gonna be next week. Yeah, Ruth is here. She's chilling. What did I miss? Hey, Sungun, how are you doing? Arib, for watercolor, which type of brushes are best? You know, the best type of brush is the one that feels most natural in your hand. Sometimes that'll have to do with how the tip interacts with the paper. You know, if the brush is very soft or very hard, some people like a certain touch better than others. And then also the way it handles in your hand, the grip. It matters a lot. Some brushes will just feel more natural in your hand. So the best type ultimately is the type that answers these kinds of things for you. There is no, predetermined one. On a very practical note, the best brushes are the ones you can find locally for a great price and great quality. That will be the best. So yeah, Sungun from Korea, thank you so much for being here. Once again, Cora, hello from Alberta, Canada. I hope everyone's day is going well. Thank you so much for being here. Gavin, yeah, that one is awesome. Thank you so much. Pam, Ruth is totally chilling indeed. She had a good day. I will play with her after the live stream. I want to get her to run a bit, throw the rope, play tug of war like she likes. It's her favorite thing to do. We did a walk now, and I threw I like to just grab a tree branch and throw it for her. Being a bit careful because these can have some little shards, and you have to be careful. But I chose a good one that is very hard and won't chip too much. So she loves running with them and being a dog basically. Leah, hi from Australia. Thank you for being here. Martin, hi Liron, greetings from Bardolino, Lake Garda, Italy. Man, that's some beautiful names. So Lake Garda, you said? Now I wanna Google image this thing and see what it looks like. Looks nice. Largest lake in Italy. Okay, I learned something new today. That's really, really neat. And you said Bardolino. I love looking for these places. Oh, that is nice. That is nice. Yeah, that is really cool. That's some paint-worthy view for sure. I may just paint it. Who knows? I love to leave the tabs open for after the stream. I'll look at everything. Christina, are you starting Patreon exclusive? Not officially. I don't know. My mindset just really lends itself to just here's a ton of content for free, but I feel like once in a while I want to give something there that I don't usually give, and maybe just give an extra bit of benefit other than the credits at the end of the videos. That's just the the normal thing. So yeah, it's not gonna be exclusive or anything like that. I don't know. I don't have anything against anyone who does that. It's a great way to make an income, a full-time income too. I mean, if I have to at some point, if my financial situation will demand it, I'll probably do something like that. But I don't know. My more natural state is just publishing as much as possible, and some of it is selfish too. When I post a video on YouTube, it gets much more views and it gets more potential to sell courses, and it just gets to more people, so it brings more subscribers. So it's always a trade-off, and everyone prefers to do things a different way. I think some people are just made for small-scale masterminds. That's the thing they like. I have a group of maybe 10, 20 people who learn from me, and it's a more of a higher price tier, and that's perfectly fine. I'm just not really like that, But yeah, thank you so much for asking. Joshua, I told an artist that his paintings were bad, but I think he got the picture. I hope you did. Hope that's a joke and you didn't tell someone their paintings are bad. Oh, it's funny. He got the picture after you told him. He got it. He nailed it. Nailed the painting. Connie, favorite interior video? Car through a raindrop. Covered window. Just watched it again 2 days ago. It's so cool, Connie, that you treat it as an interior. I wouldn't even think of it as an interior painting. I would think of it as a car in a street and cityscape. But actually, technically speaking, you're correct. Now, if I had to guess, I think the picture is taken from another car. So, is it an interior of a car? Who knows? But yeah. Born Again Farm Girl, how are you doing? Oh, you changed your name, so now you have Born Again Farm Girl watercolor painting every day. That's cool. That's a long username. Hello, Liron and fellow artists. Thank you for being here. Henny, did you create a book with your car paintings in the end? Not yet, not yet. It's a project I kind of just didn't feel spoke to me enough at the moment. Maybe it will in the future, which I hope I don't disappoint anyone too much. Sometimes it's also one of those balancing acts, So it's not that I feel complete disdain towards the project, because that can happen sometimes too. I just felt like there were more pressing matters to focus on. That's pretty much it. And I will probably revisit it in the future. For now, I think everyone should be able to see all of the paintings, online. So at least that. Ruth is grooming herself, so at least that. I think I will honestly go back to it in the future. Just felt like there were more important things right now, which is why. But thank you for asking about that. Born Again Farm Girl, I've been watercolor painting every day for 115 days now. Oh, that's cool. You're just done, that's it. You're in a roll. You can just say you've been painting every day, and that's it. It doesn't really matter how many days it's been. You're just a person who paints every day. That's super cool. Yeah, Joshua, I'm so happy it's a joke. I had a feeling. I was just making sure. So yeah, a few processes. Do I have anything interesting that I worked on aside from that? Let me see. That's the tractor. Most of you. I did paint. So these you've seen too, if I'm not mistaken, but I did do a couple more portraits for the print I'm working on for the gallery. That's work in progress. That's hopefully will happen, unlike the car book. I think I've shown you this in the stories or something like that, but it's cool to see up close. Like this one I really, really like. I don't think I posted it as a post. Maybe I haven't, I'm confused. This is the one I shared. I showed you how to paint. I believe this is the one I also showed you how to paint. And then we have the tractor that you've seen, hopefully, in the video. If you haven't, it's one of my recent videos. If you want to check out how to paint this thing, there's a video. Felt very, like a very interesting process, honestly, started really well, and then at some point I felt like I'm actually losing some of it. Um, but then at the end, I really liked the result. So yeah, I think that's pretty much. I think that's pretty much it for recent work. I'll find if I have anything else. Uh, Fantastic Asoro heads. Yeah, thank you, Cora. Yep. It really helps me, One thing I've been thinking about is the idea of where the plane faces. That's something I will hope to really show in the video. So when you look at things like this, like you can really see the different lanes of the head and you can visualize where they're facing. The best way to demonstrate is on my own face, right? So the front of the nose faces directly straight ahead, like this. The sides of the nose go like that, right? So the front, if light comes from here, from the window, this will be most lit. Same here for the cheeks. So the things that face directly towards the light, of course, are going to be the lightest. And then as things rotate away from it, better to show in this direction, they start to get dark. And it's almost something I haven't really thought about. I've been thinking about it more in the sense of, so this is a cylinder, and this is where the shadow begins, right? This is where the shadow begins. Everything here is a shadow. Everything here is a highlight with a bit of reflected light. Can you see that the edge here is a little lighter because there's reflected light from the environment? So that's how I've been thinking about it. I have not been thinking about it enough in terms of where every plane faces, whether it's, up, down, how it's oriented in space. And I think that really helps. The reason it's so fresh in my mind is the painting I'm working on right now, the digital painting, is pretty much fully from my imagination. I have been using a lot of references, but the light, shadow, scene, everything is, I kind of compose the full scene, and I'm trying to find references that will fill my artistic vision and help me paint it. So the light and shadow is completely made up, and I find these struggles, and I find myself thinking, okay, where does the plane face? Sometimes it's easy to define the light source and end up not listening to your own definition by mistake. That can be a problem too. So yeah, it is a bit of a challenge. No more coffee. So it's time to do the switcheroo with the bottle of water. The inker, hi, it's me, Mario. Thank you for being here. Marjorie, hi, Liron. So nice to see you live. This is Marjorie Bees. I love the tractor. Thank you so much, Marjorie. I really appreciate your support always. Means a lot. Andreas, hey, Liron, hope all is well. Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing really well. Joshua, what is your favorite thing to study in art? It really changes. I don't have a favorite. I think my favorite thing to do in art is to, whenever I'm able to really just get a clear feeling of what I want to paint and then go with it. I think some of my best paintings are the ones where I had this clarity. So for example, the interior OCD restaurant, right? That's another interior I forgot about. That's my most perfect, I think, painting almost. And that I just knew that's the scene I'm painting, and it didn't even matter. I didn't have to think too much about the technical side of it, like, how the light goes, how the shadow, it was pure instinct. I knew exactly how to define the first wash, and if you've seen it, I've shared it a few times, it's just, blues and reds and yellows, barely mixed. I knew exactly how I wanted it to look just based on, my instincts and being so invested in the painting process. That's my favorite thing to do. And sometimes I'll get a feeling, ooh, I really feel like painting a car. I'll paint a car. Ooh, I really feel like painting a cityscape. I'll paint a cityscape. Sometimes the feeling will come and I'll go with it, but it won't end up exactly like I want it to. That can happen too, quite frequently actually. But it doesn't matter because the painting process was perfect in a way because I was so in it. So I'd say that's my favorite thing. One of the recent favorites was because I was taking a few steps back and really thinking about the fundamentals of watercolor and what are some of my misconceptions with the medium, the things I'm doing just out of sheer habit that don't serve me as much. I went back to doing a lot of still lifes, right? Just apples, blah, 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 these kinds of fruits, vegetables, the type of work I've shown you here a lot lately. That kind of a thing became really attractive for me because it's so straightforward. You can focus on the apples that I did, for example, the 2 apple videos. You can really focus on just letting the paint do its thing. And I think that's the kind of thing I really like doing. If I can catch that wave, which not always will it just show up, you know, sometimes it just won't. Like this painting I'm working on right now digitally completely caught me by surprise. I couldn't resist it. It wasn't a matter of me encouraging myself to want to paint it. It's just I've been working on it for 2 days almost straight, doing nothing but that. And it completely captivated me. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at and the thing I enjoy the most, you know. What's your favorite thing to study? I'm curious. Let me know, Joshua. Joshua, was it you asked it, right? Yes. Tattoo Tank, hey bro, hope all is well. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well too. Born Again Farm Girl advice gladly accepted. Mark, what's up, Liron? Good to see you again. You're so constant and consistent in what you do. What is your secret to this? You know, as of recent, my secret has been to really just give myself permission to do whatever I want. And that translates, by the way, to being not as consistent. Because as you've seen, I don't usually miss live streams, and I've missed 2 live streams in a row. And the reason for that was me allowing myself to just do the thing I want, you know? So, funny enough, you know, consistency is almost, why isn't out of focus? Am I out of focus? Consistency, I feel like, is almost mistakenly put on a pedestal, you know? There is nothing, it's so easy to think that consistency is important for consistency's sake. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. You know, what if every day you feel like doing something else and you're doing wonderful work? You know, are you wrong for being inconsistent? It's almost like being consistent can become a goal in and of itself, and I don't think anyone really aspires for consistency. Like, if I'll ask you, you know, let's do a hypothetical thing. Someone has a week to live. Is he gonna spend this week to live aspiring to be consistent? Like, who cares about consistency, you know? You'll spend time doing the things you love. You'll actually be forced almost to, you won't have a choice because everything looks differently when you're in that situation, I guess. So it's almost like that, you know? So funny enough, the thing I've been maybe more consistent about lately is to just allow myself to do the things I want. And that means maybe not being consistent in some things, which is funny. It's a funny way of looking at it. Let's see, what did I miss here? So yeah, you know, Mark, honestly, if you know what you want, and it's okay if you don't, right? But if you get usually, you know, it's just buried under a bunch of crap. Not for everyone, right? But for many people, it's just buried under a bunch of crap, and it's more like what's left there once all of the crap is removed. That you will do whatever you want each and every day without fail, simply because you found it, you know. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. That's my secret maybe lately. Marjorie Bees, Liron, I'm struggling to get a frustration-free workshop. When I get home from work, I'll go back to my email. Yeah, I remember we corresponded. I provided you with all the links. I believe, did I create a new user for you? In any case, just email me with where you're stuck, and I'll see. Because I remember the last time I just sent you everything you need for sure. So maybe if you missed the last video, check that out. I'm sure 100% you have everything you need to log in. Maybe the email is buried and I'll send you another one. So just let me know. Mark, that's brilliant. 115 days. What kind of progress or changes have you noticed? Yeah, it is interesting. It's actually interesting. I'm curious to hear. Let's see here. Okay, Sub-0335, you make the chat move too fast. How can I learn perspective? I'm gonna address that in a second. Let me just make sure I got to all of the questions. Yeah, okay, you're next. How can I learn perspective? You can stop reposting the question. You know, if you go on YouTube and you just search for perspective drawing, you will find so many videos. You just, if you ask me that basic of a question, you just go ahead and watch some videos. Then, when you struggle with something specific, you can research that thing, right? But, you started ground zero. What is it? The horizon line, the vanishing points. There's so much information out there. I think it's about getting started. You just have to sit down and get started. If you have any specific questions, yeah, for sure, let me know. But it's just, there's so much that is fairly basic too, by the way, that you can get. Squill says, I need a Wii. I'm not sure. I'm seeing a bunch of weird questions. I like doing portraits and faces, Cora says. Cool. Mega Munch. I read it Mega Punch because that's a Pokemon attack. Okay, I'm back. What did I miss? Oh, okay, you went to... Okay, good. No, now I get it. I think I've caught up. Squill, I like the painting you've done on your head. I'm not sure what painting I've done on my own head. I'm not sure, but thank you. Hank, how are you doing? I made it and listening with intent. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Katrina, hey Liron. Wow, first live stream. You're amazing. Oh, so it's your first live stream here? That's cool. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Feel free to ask. This is your place to ask any questions. Arthur, so true. Consistency has its merits, but there is so much fun in experimenting and learning new things. Yes, indeed. I just think whatever it is, to me, I'm starting to realize it's not the consistency I'm after. Consistency is almost, once again, like the video I did on Tuesday. Consistency is just a byproduct of something else, a byproduct of doing the things you want to do, doing the things that you're compelled to do almost. If you remove everything else and you're left with no choice, that's the go-to, that's the default thing you'll do. I keep finding myself defaulting to art. No matter what I do, I'll always default to art. I can forget about, I can work on a bunch of things that have nothing to do with painting and drawing, because that's the reality of having a business around art. Or I can even take a few days and relax, which I barely do. Relax from work, because I don't do work. I do what I love, but I can take a few days off of, let's say, the business, and I'll just end up, without thinking about it, without planning for it, without anything, just, again, at my desk painting. It's the thing I just go back to automatically. It's those things that I think are worth exploring, right? It's the thing you can't avoid doing in a way, which is interesting to think about. But yeah. Born again farm girl. I personally have to be consistent because I'm naturally a procrastinator and attach lazy, so painting every single day has finally helped me acquire the skills that I already have. Yeah, so you know what I think? If you really want to paint and improve your skills, for example, that's what you say here, I think consistency is an added unnecessary step. Something else is in the way. Now, in retrospect, you can look back at the last 115 days, realize you've been painting all this time, and you know what? You found your zone. I don't think you're a procrastinator. I think you only procrastinate, you and everyone, right? Not just you. We procrastinate on things we don't want to do. You found the thing you want to do, and you're doing it. So you can give yourself more credit, I think. Joshua, my favorite thing to study is shapes and shadows. That's cool, yeah. So that's a very, like a niche within a niche almost. It's the thing within, you can do that with so many mediums, so many subjects. So that's really fun. Yeah. I love to connect, all sorts of different shadows and study them. That's really fun. Let's see, where was I? Sorry, I'm looking here. My my chats are here. Mark, while you're on, your reply to my question about consistency brought tears to my eyes. Really, that was some powerful stuff you just dropped on us. Oh, I'm happy to hear. Happy I can help in that way. I really appreciate hearing that. Yeah, I'm figuring it out every day. It's things click, some things become a mess, some things click again. But with time, I think I'm really I feel like the path is becoming much clearer for me lately. Burning in a farm rule, and I'm also naturally a procrastinator, a touch lazy in my 53 years of life. If I can paint 115 days straight when I'm 53, I'll be proud of myself too. I don't paint 115 days straight, so that's cool. Hey, Luca, how are you doing? Katrina, no, that would not be me. Everyone's riding on the how can I learn perspective wave. Let's see. Okay, yeah, good. I'm caught up. Esther says my first live stream. Also, that's cool. That's really cool. Skrill, it's my first rodeo too. Hope you're well. Charnel says, thank you so much, Charnel. Much appreciated. So yeah, we have Esther, Skrill, and who else said it's the first time? I'm wondering, did you discover the channel? Not just you three, but everyone else. Did you discover? Is anyone here just discovered the channel recently? It's always interesting for me to see. And let me make this a little selfish. Have you discovered the channel recently? And if so, what video did you watch first? What video helped you discover the channel? That's actually useful information for myself and myself only. So, it's my live stream. I can be selfish. There we go. So I'm curious to hear. That's always interesting for me. Yeah, I was going to touch on something interesting and I forgot now, but that's fine. Mainly, I was thirsty. And Charnel, once again, thank you so much. Ruth just got up and left, as she does sometimes. She just doesn't. She usually doesn't like being here on live streams. I'm surprised she's here. That's interesting, Mega Munch. I'm so proud to be. So proud to be there in the related videos for the Gold One Cup. Marjorie, this is my first live stream. Really? No way. No way. Really? I remember you being in a live stream. Okay, interesting recommendations. Oh, thank you so much. That's cool. There's so much. One thing I almost forget, and every once in a while I want to do, is there's tons of Facebook groups with really kind people that post. Sometimes I'll get a notification for someone tagging me. Or a video, sharing a link to a video, and I want to be more active in those groups. I just didn't get the time lately. Oh yeah, I did want to talk a bit about the few things that I've been focusing on just in the recent, let's say, I would say month and a half. It was really about just allowing myself. And what I ended up doing most of the time actually is creating, and it's almost like I was after the not any type of specific creation, but more of exploration of how I create, if that makes sense. Whether it's digital sketches, watercolor. I did some acrylics too, by the way, a gift for family. So, and then I really fell down that almost rabbit hole of exploring how I create, not how in the sense of what medium or what the result is, but the process and how I feel during the process. And that just demanded some space, which is why I've been less active on Instagram, didn't do the live streams. I just let it carry me and pull me into whatever it is that it was, and that felt great, and that really, really... the feeling great is just a byproduct again. I would say more than anything, it felt right. And not right in the sense of there's a right and a wrong way. It felt right for me. It felt like the thing I needed. So that's one thing I focused on. The other, funny enough, was business. So I ran a bunch of Facebook ads, and I devoted a lot of time and attention to those. And I have done pretty well in these campaigns, which I've it's been a while, and it's always challenging for me, sales and marketing in particular. I think I'm a good communicator when it's a setting of, just discussing art and the course that's right here, and you can check out the Frustration-Free Watercolor course. I'm more of a person of, I'm going to throw my things out there, and whoever catches them, catches them. So... I'm going to post tons of free videos, and whoever is interested in more information will purchase the course. That's always how I've been there. It's almost like there's a layer between me and the selling, the action of selling. But sometimes it's very practical, and it's very time effective to, use paid ads, which I've always been doing, over the last 5, 6, 7 years. But I took almost a break from that for almost a year, and I got back to that, and it was great. It went really well. It felt much more natural than before because I think I found more of my voice in a way. So yeah, it's really interesting. Let's see. Some people have commented on the videos, except for the 2 girls, 1 cup. Ekaterina, I discovered you by coming in and just chatting live like this. I think it was the last one. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, okay, so that's really neat. That's really cool. Because the live streams get fewer views, but I guess they can still get to new people. Esther, I had subscribed, can't remember what I saw. First, I just saw the notification when I let the dogs out, so started watching. Okay, that's cool. Ted to Tank, how come when I do a photo study, it looks great, but when I do my own, it doesn't look as good? So you're referring to painting from a photo based on, let's say, painting from imagination, right? The answer is quite simple. You just have a lot to work with when you're working from a photo, when you have something to refer to. When you're working from a photo, it's really about vibing with the photo, reacting to the photo. There's something there, a solid foundation. Now, when you do something of your own, and especially the more complex it is, it's easy to take for granted if you're mostly working from photos. I speak for myself mostly because that's me. It's very easy to take for granted all the information and the almost energy you get from a photo and by playing off of a photo. So then when you approach painting something from your imagination, or maybe even using a photo very loosely but changing it significantly, I almost tended to assume, I painted similar scenes before, this should go okay from my imagination. It doesn't. It just doesn't, because you have so much less information. And that is perfectly okay. So here's what I'm starting to realize. What you may want to do, it's a very technical thing. It's not like, I will never say that's the right way to do things. But if that's the place you find yourself in, one thing maybe worth trying is to start simple. And what I mean by that is, can you maybe paint something like an apple from imagination? Can you do a few apples from a photo and then just set the photos aside and try to do one from imagination? You'll find that even when it's a simple subject, it's almost like you're wondering, where is the shadow? Where's the light? What colors should I use? What colors will look good? The vision is coming internally, not externally. So it's a different process. Now, I don't want to say that it will always be more challenging to paint from imagination compared to a photo, because maybe some people will have a different experience, right? So it's almost like you have to relate it to your own experience to truly understand it. What I will say is that at least in the beginning, it's a different skill. So being a different skill, taking a few steps back, just doing a simpler subject may put you on the right path. You'll get used to thinking about the fundamentals, the light and shadow and so on. And then you can expand it to something more complex. Now, you can do whatever you want, right? But if you find that's the challenge, I think this is one good way to forge that path ahead, I hope that makes sense. It's a very common experience. Of course, when you don't do a study just of your own mind, it depends on the bank, what you have in mind, the information that you have there and all of that. And that's a different skill. That's it. So Sungun, I think Liron's the best artist. Well, thank you so much. I don't know if that's even a possible thing to say, but I really appreciate it. Dwayne, thanks for an amazing job and mindset towards other artists. Thank you so much. Connie D, 4 months ago, portrait painting. Not sure which one because I binge watched what was available. Okay, that's cool to know. So Connie, you discovered me 4 months ago? Because it's funny, I could swear I remember you in a live stream before that, but I'm probably mistaken. Well, that's so cool. Well, time flies. Joshua, it would be cool if you were to make your own art brand. That's something I've been thinking about in the past. It's just so a thing of its own that I honestly have no idea how to even get started on that. One thing that could work, if anyone out there is very business oriented and would like to start an art brand, it could be more of a business collaboration. Or business partnership. That's something I may be up to. I bring the brand and maybe, the technical knowledge and all of that, and they bring the business and the manufacturing. I definitely thought about it in the future. In the past, there's just so many brands that do things really well, It's definitely not an easy path to take. It's not my natural go-to in any way, but yeah. Anime Hunter, I'm your biggest fan. Thank you so much. What animes have you hunted lately? Let me know, because I started watching ReZero. Watched like one episode. It was 2 weeks ago, because I barely, I'm so devoted to the art and what I'm doing that I just barely have time to watch anything. Unfortunately, I want to continue My Hero Academia. I did 3 seasons, stopped and didn't have time. I have about 200 episodes of One Piece to catch on to. There's so much I never get to it. There's so much I want to do, but it's one of those. It would have been nice to watch all of these animes, and I just would have been nice. Never gets done. So yeah. But let me know, because sometimes I do have a pocket of free time for a few weeks. Maybe I want to relax a bit, and then I end up watching. I did watch Monster. I finished Monster anime, all 77 or 78 episodes. Finished it maybe a month ago. Took me a month to finish it, so I do watch some stuff. But I'm curious to hear, what animes have you hunted recently? Mark Donovan, my 2 latest channels that inspired me are Art Tuition with Robert Me, good channel. Titus Mew, another great channel. Yes. Very different to my usual watercolor favorites. Yes, I've been following him on Instagram. Great, very interesting art. Some paintings look like, the thing you see a lot of, but others feel very original. So yeah, great artist. I'm subscribed here, I believe, on YouTube too. Though I don't watch I don't watch anime, so I don't watch videos too most of the time. Candy Miller, my first live with you, I was watching your Washes Doesn't Matter video. Oh, that was really recently, with your apples and pears in a basket. I'll need to go back and finish it later. That's cool. That's amazing. Ad Gax. Hey, Liron, greetings from the Philippines. Thank you for being here. Joshua, was there an artist that inspired you to paint? Initially, I have to admit, Joseph Zbukvich and Alvaro Castanet have inspired me to give watercolor a go that is not in the urban sketchers vein, but more in the fine art vein. That would be it, I would say. Fine art, more detailed, more realistic, more impressionistic realistic. So yeah. Not to say that urban sketching can be fine art, but it's a bit more, the watercolor is the thing that carries the creation. Sungun, teaching, sharing, painting the rest of us. Thank you so much. Andrea Gomez, Argentina al sur de saluda. I think what you're saying is hello from Argentina, basically. Thank you so much. Yeah, Argentina. I loved Argentina. Visited. I haven't been to too many places. Would have wanted to have more time, but I really enjoyed it. Anyway, isn't real art. Yeah, that's BS, Squeal. You know it. You know it, Squeal. Katrina, I'm sorry, had stepped away. My first live stream, but have been watching your videos for a couple of years. Oh, thank you so much. I typically look for techniques and enjoy the landscapes, skies, and water reflections. Cool. Yeah, that's very much a niche within my work. I don't do too many of those, so I'm happy I can provide that. By the way, if you haven't checked out the realistic boats video, you want to check that out. There's a lot of beautiful water reflections there. It's the thing that's hung up on my wall here. You can't see off camera. Well, let's see here. Mega Munch, what's your favorite sneak attack? I don't even know what that means. Esther, I started painting with oil for a few years. Then I wanted to learn watercolor, so I started teaching myself and watching free tutorials. I can't stand acrylics because it dries way too fast. I actually don't mind acrylics drying fast. It's more of the, but I get it, not everyone will like it. What I care more about is just the mixing is so time consuming. You mix, then place a bit of paint, then you have to charge your brush every 3 seconds. Watercolor is so much more built for what I like. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. I get it. Mega Munch. Connie D, I started watercolor after Christmas, so it easily could have been 6 months. This is my 3rd live stream. Oh, cool. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you so much for being here. Much appreciated. Can't read your name. It is in Korean, but I'll read it. Just want to say I'm always mesmerized by your paintings, especially how you simplify things. Thank you. Do you usually finish your paintings in one sitting? Yes, I do. I would say 90%, 85% maybe of my paintings are done in one go. Watercolor is a fast medium. Whenever I tried acrylics or other mediums, it's never in one sitting. It's just with watercolor. Watercolor is really, its nature is very fast. So yeah, most of them are done in one sitting. Once in a while, I will work on a painting where I'm almost savoring the process. OCD is a good example. Divination is a good example. Even everyday life, the one I just showed you of the interior, is a good example of that. Where I just really enjoy savoring the process and really feeling my way through every step. Those are the paintings I will finish in multiple sessions. That and maybe very complex, large paintings that just take time, but most small paintings, definitely. Martin, everyone's saying your last name for some reason. Squill, are you trolling other people's usernames? Okay, you can do just a bit of trouble, but if you do too much trouble, I have to consider some measures. All right, and not for myself. I don't care. You can troll my name, but just because it's other people here. Martin, same for you, Megamunch. Martin, hi Liron, thanks for your great work and inspiration. I learned so much from your vids. Do you prepare your paper in any way before painting, like stretching? The most preparation I'm doing, Martin, is just pre-wetting maybe. Also, most of my paintings, I don't pre-wet the paper. The most preparation is to pre-wet both sides. When I worked on the large divination painting, I spilled water over it because it was so time-consuming to use the brush. I just took a plastic cup, just splattered water all over it. That's the most painting. Some could say it's just like stretching, but I don't really dip it in water. I just kind of splash water on it. Most paintings, I don't even do that, you know. But yeah, Zenful Painter. That's one word. Why did I split it? Megamunch, you're not an admin. I don't have any admins. Maybe I should though. Have been watching you for at least a year and continuously inspired by you. Lynn Blue Jensen. I'm not sure what FKA is, but thank you so much. That's really cool to know. Linda, hello, greetings from Vancouver Island. Thank you so much for being here. Katerina, how I usually start a drawing. I do the sketch, but then I just leave it, come back a couple of days later, continue and actually finish it. Yeah, that actually has some utility too, by the way, Katerina. Sometimes you just need the fresh eyes, you know. FK, formerly known as. Okay, got it. Because I remember that name. Oh, okay, now I see. Lynn Blue Jensen. Okay. Thank you so much. Yes, sometimes it's very much a utility to let the painting go for a while, come back with fresh eyes. Sometimes, usually I know when a painting is done, but sometimes I'll feel like, I have a feeling I could get a bit more out of it. When that happens, I'll just finish it, set it aside, and then what I'll do is, sleep on it, maybe for a day, revisit it the next day, and it becomes really clear. I'll either just sign it, or I'll figure out what the things that are necessary are there, and that's almost like savoring the process. It's a very useful thing to do, and I'll sometimes do that, Okay. Let's see. Mark, okay, I missed a few messages. Mark, I can't believe you haven't hit 500k subscribers yet. People are missing out on your unique contribution to watercolor teaching and sharing knowledge for free on YouTube. Thank you so much, Mark. By the way, if you'll notice, most watercolor channels aren't that size. So if anything, I would say my growth is kind of normal. But, yes, of course, I do want to hit 1 million, hopefully in the future, aka 1 million too. Slowly but surely, maybe we'll get there. I find that the channels that go beyond, let's say, 300, 400, 500k, deal with a lot more than just the techniques. And I actually like the fact that the channel isn't too big because it means I'm still quite specific in what I do. Not that specificity, just like consistency, is necessary, but I feel like my value is very clear. But you know, who knows? One day, hopefully, I will. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you thinking I deserve that. So thank you. The Nintendo Bits, how are you doing? Do you have a few 3-color palette options, looking to have some variety and experimentation with paints? Yeah, you know, outside of the usual, not really. The main one I use is a cyan, magenta, lemon kind of a thing. So lemon yellow, quinacridone rose, PV19, and phthalo blue, cyan would be the best. Phthalo blue, PB20, what is it? I don't even remember. 29, 28, or that's French ultramarine. I'm not sure. But what's called phthalo blue, green shade would be ideal. That's the most variety. Now, what I do enjoy sometimes doing is using different, not 3-color palettes. So maybe a blue and an orange, a violet and a yellow, so complementary colors. Maybe a secondary palette, so a green, orange, and violet. Those are the kinds of things I enjoy sometimes doing. But you know, there are other blues that are useful, like something like a cerulean blue is useful. Even Prussian blue, I know some people swear by. And then, of course, French ultramarine. I am a big fan of having a lot of blues, a lot of reds, and a lot of yellows, and then kind of pushing the nuance of temperature to be exactly what I want it to be. You know, because most of my paintings they do have a lot of mixing, especially in later stages. First wash may be clean blue, clean red, clean yellow, but then later on I'm very much a fan of nuances. So yeah, so I would say that's kind of the way I approach this. Different people will have different preferences, of course, but yeah. I hope it makes sense. Ted to Tank, I started watching a year you were painting 2 pro paintings live. Yes, that I may compile that. There was a video, I believe, in a live stream. I may compile it into a quick 20-minute video because it's a really useful process. I rewatched it a while ago, and I actually go through most of the painting there. So I may end up doing that for a video, maybe on Saturday or next week. Katrina, I never imagined watercolor painting. I'll look for a finished result in a few hours versus days. Otherwise, I would likely walk away long before finishing it. But I truly admire... Oh, so you say I never imagined probably realistic watercolor painting, but I truly admire realism art in oils, acrylics. Yeah, you know, I think if you are a master of the medium, you can reach realism very fast too, very directly as well. I think it's a matter of what you're after artistically, what you enjoy, what compels you to create. Joshua, the artist, I can read that here already, I think. No, I'm still not caught up. Joshua, the artist that inspires me is Rembrandt, Van Gogh, and you, because I have watched your videos for 3 years, which is how long I've been painting for. That's really cool. Thank you so much, Joshua. And I will say I feel very, very lucky to be included in a list with Van Gogh and Rembrandt. Of course, I have an unfair advantage of having YouTube. They didn't have it. Which means the content is there for people to watch. So thank you so much for that. Chris, with my favorite last name, Persichetti. Hey, Liron, big fan here. Thank you so much for being here. We need to get Quill out of here real quick. I have a feeling Quill and Mega Munch are friends. The Nintendo Bits. I have such trouble coming up with a signature, initials, full name, print, cursive. Yeah, you know, whatever looks cool to you, honestly, that's the answer for me. It has to look cool. And I've considered shortening my signature to Liron, like without the last name. How many Lirons do you know? But then I decided I want to make sure it's me, so I'm gonna keep the whole thing. Mine isn't that smart or clever, you know. I just write the full name. If you have a nice cursive style to it, I think that can look really good. I'm just really bad with cursive. I do sign kind of cursive if I do my own signature, but it's not exactly the same, so yeah. Katerina, I could try it. This probably happens because I start to speed moves up, I get stressed, so I just go rest. Yeah, same here, same here. Regina, I painted your messy tractor, but mine is too neat, always patches. That's good. I mean, it could look great. How can I practice this technique without making it too big a mess? I love your style. I'll have to see the painting to comment on it. But I think it's more about exploring the type of art you want to make. So if anything, I wouldn't try to imitate me necessarily. I would almost let the painting bounce off of you. You know what I mean? And have it through your own filter and your own unique way of doing things. Easier said than done, but that's how I look at it, at least. But yeah, of course, feel free to send it over. I can maybe write a comment or two. Squill, I tried painting once, but I got really annoyed and broke everything I owned, so now I don't do it. You know what? You went with what you want. If you don't want to paint, there's no reason to do that if you don't want to. By the way, Regina refers to a video I posted recently. The messy tractor, it's this one. It's kind of a messy first and second washes. That's what was referred to. Megamunch, only paint using your toes and third, well, that's useful, if you lose control of maybe an arm, that could be useful. Esther, I consider myself an artist, but feel that I am a kindergartner when it comes to deciding what colors. I tend to use the same ones. Yeah, one thing about colors that I feel like people have some trouble with is there is a place and time. First off, you can do whatever you want, right? There's a place and time, I find, if you want to produce a certain result, maybe a more realistic result, a more believable result, there's a place and time for using pure colors, and then there's a place and time to mixing them quite a bit and making them your own. Now, what a lot of people do, and I fall into this trap too with acrylics, is not mixing at all. So using the paints straight out of whatever they came out of. Now, there are a few problems this poses for a more believable result. Again, if you're going for something expressionistic, abstract, you can do whatever you want. If you're trying to get a sense of realism, very often, not always, the colors right out of the tube, which I think when you say you end up using the same colors is kind of what happens or what you refer to, it ends up looking very generic, especially things like French ultramarine, very strong colors, and you don't mix them. And so first off, it looks generic. The color isn't mixed. Second, everything is very saturated because you don't mix it down to look more gray. Not just gray, but a gray green, a gray blue, a gray whatever. That's when it can feel like, being a kindergartner. So the way you describe it is actually quite accurate. So what I will say is, very often you have a color in mind, and I would actually allow myself to mix that color. Instead of defaulting to using the blue right out of the tube, using the red right out of the tube, which again, there's a time and place for that. If you want to get a very vibrant color, very clean color, but especially as the layers add up and the painting progresses, you'll find that these colors barely exist in nature and around us. And that's what many people face, it seems like. Now, again, if you want to be more expressionistic, if you want to do something that is a certain way, that is not what I described, it is not a very narrow niche of realistic, believable, impressionistic, there are an endless ways of doing things. And I will say there's a way to achieve realism with very vibrant colors too. Don't let me saying all of what I just said stop you from trying it out. Actually, very interesting to see how that can be done. And I do see these kinds of paintings once in a while. So just my 2 cents on the whole thing. Let's see, where was I? Signature, we talked about that. I think this muscle here is strained from yesterday's. Someone choked me, and now every time I do this, it hurts a bit. That's funny. Where were we? Chris asked, I skipped that, sorry. Do you keep a violet on your palette or do you mix colors? If so, what color or colors? Yeah, I usually mix, but I do have a very convenient carbazole violet. I don't remember what pigment it is. It's the one that comes in Daniel Smith's secondary set. I do have that. It's a very useful color. It can help you darken really fast. It neutralizes with yellow really fast, so it's a great color to have. So I do have some secondary colors too. I usually use them once I know what I want from the painting. In the beginning, I keep it pretty, close to 3, 4 colors maybe. Primary colors, mostly. So let's see. We talked about a kindergartner. Melody, Liron, thank you for helping me make techniques stronger in my sketchbook. So I'm improving slowly but steadily. Cool. Yeah, sketchbooks are great, great, great. Thank you so much for answering. By the way, my name is just Bread. So you have that. Okay, so I'll call you Bread. So Bread says, thank you so much for... I'll try and remember that. So I'm imagining now the rounded figures in the Korean letters as a loaf of bread. That's how I'll try and remember. The one thing I can read some Japanese. I cannot read Chinese. I cannot read Korean. I cannot read any of the other languages. I can tell Korean apart from the rest. So yeah, and there, conveniently we have a name with Chinese or Japanese like letters, which I cannot read. But in any case, let me read this one, Bread. Thank you so much for answering. By the way, my name is just Bread. Have you ever been scared of finishing certain projects? Like you will ruin it and you don't want to waste your time. That happens very infrequently. When it's a very large piece, a very complex sketch, and it's time to start painting. But I never stopped. Sometimes maybe it postponed it a bit, made me do some other things and procrastinate maybe for an hour, maybe for a day, and doing other things that were important anyway. But for the most part, it doesn't happen. And when it happens, it's just a small hindrance. I'm not going to tell you how to deal with it. One of the things I do is start very slow, thin washes that let me be very controlled. Especially with large pieces, you just have to have flow over such a large space, so you end up painting quite light. That's how I do it. It never stopped me, flat out stopped me from doing anything. Never, ever. And that's the thing. Fear comes when you desire something. So if you're scared, it's almost like if you desire something, which is, I really want to paint this scene, or this scene really speaks to me, there will always be a fear of, what if I fail in painting this scene? So just the fact that you feel fear points that you have a strong desire for something to probably paint the scene or to succeed in painting the scene. And I will say, the fact that you feel the fear doesn't actually matter. If you want it enough, you can almost decide not to entertain those thoughts of the fear. That's what I find I'm able to do more of. It's almost like my brain will throw a lot of thoughts at me. Some are just useless. Most are useless, probably. Even the good, quote-unquote, thoughts are useless. I can just almost hear them and keep doing what I was doing. So yeah. Let me know if you want to follow up on that. Shin-Yi, how often do you paint outside? I just think your painting has lots going on from imagination. I barely paint from imagination, and I barely paint outside. I should do that more. I did it a lot in the past. I haven't for a while, and I really enjoy whenever I do it. That's the honest answer. Is it's just not important enough for me, but whenever I do it, I never regret it. So yeah. Esther, I love the tractor. You have that on YouTube? Yes, I do. It's one of the more recent videos. It didn't get many views, so I'm not surprised most people haven't seen it. My average low views for a video is about 2,000 views. That's very common, actually, for me to hit just 2,000 views. And a lot of these videos are really good. And just not many people, compared to the number... 2,000 is a lot of people, but not a lot of people compared to the number of subscribers watch them. So there are quite a few hidden gems, I will say. Martin, I don't know why your message was retracted. I almost managed to read it. Send it again, and I'll read it. Sorry about that. Katrina, great questions and answers on color palettes. Thank you. Marjorie, I love making color charts to explore various palettes. Ooh, that's really cool. I barely do that, but I know a lot of people enjoy it. Primary, secondary, tertiary colors, yep. Esther, thank you for the advice. I will try to be much braver. I'm on a low income and always, wait a second, skipped. And always worry about using all my watercolor paper, so tend to only do things I figure will work, or if doing a free tutorial. So Esther, one thing you can do, just a very practical thing you can try. I don't know, if you find it uninspiring, feel free not to. But one thing can do is get some printer paper, you know, these kinds of normal A4 printer paper. And what you can almost do there is a very detailed study of the drawing and the light and shadow. And doing this kind of study will usually provide a lot of confidence for you that at least you know what the light and shadow are going to be. And printer paper is much, much cheaper than watercolor paper, right? So if I had to compare the two, I don't even know how much this costs. Probably around, I would say, local prices, it's probably around 9 USD, which is probably much more expensive than what people can get in the US. But even 9 USD, you know, that's the price of maybe a single sheet of watercolor paper. So that's a great way to explore in detail and waste very little materials. I would definitely do that. Even if you don't like pencil as much, you know, there's always a creative solution. So if you, let's say you don't like pencil as much, but if you almost imagine it's paint and you're thinking about it in a painterly manner, if that makes sense, meaning light and shadow, you can create some very detailed renditions and feel much more confident once you're going to paint it on real watercolor paper. Just a few thoughts to throw there. I think it's very practical. So yeah, there's a lot of hacks one can do to circumvent it almost. I have printer paper, thanks for the advice, but you can't use much water. Oh, yeah, I'm just talking, you know, no water. By the way, you could use watercolor. Yes, it will wrinkle. I've done it before. It will warp and everything. I was just referring to pencil. Just pencil and eraser. And a very painterly approach means maybe you use the side of the pencil to fill in large areas. Maybe you use something like a kneaded eraser to bring back highlights. You can do a pencil sketch in a very painterly approach. So yeah, but it's great. Regina, I love the sunlight in your paintings and I smile when I see your palette. Thank you. How is that possible? I think to myself. Yeah, check out the why I don't clean my palette video if you haven't. There's a video like that here on YouTube and on Instagram. Basically, color is very relative. One color can be perceived as bright or as dull depending on the surrounding. So it's almost like it doesn't really matter the local singular color you use, but rather its full context. And my full context works in relations to one area to another, which is why it ends up still looking bright, strong sunlight, and all of that. To that, I will add also the values, right? How dark or light something is has a big impact on that too. So you don't really need a clean palette for a sense of light and shadow. You do need a clean palette for a clean color. So if you want a very clean yellow that is not contaminated by red and blue, you need a clean palette and just use that yellow. Now, even if the palette's a little dirty, which it is, as you see my palette, you can overpower the dirt with more yellow. You just add more yellow, more water, more yellow. You'll overpower it. But it's more practical sometimes to clean it. I hope that makes sense, Regina. That's how I do it, though. X, Andy, Tricks, X. Trick X, sorry. I love the sun. Sorry, it skipped. I've been drawing with pencils, ink, charcoal for almost 15 years. That's really cool. Afraid to paint in color. Thanks to you, I gave watercolor a try and fell in love with it, making progress every day with your videos. Thank you. That's amazing to hear. And I will say, you know, if you're used to ink and even charcoal, dare I say, so if you're using charcoal, you're used to shapes, right? Not just lines. And if you're using ink, you're used to flow. So it's almost, you know, these things almost communicate together in a way. Ink, I believe, can be water-based, right? Is it mostly water-based? I'm not sure, but you know, these things are very similar, more similar than different. Very happy I could help. You know, now that I think about it, I would be curious to try painting with inks, you know? That's something I wanted to explore. I'm going to open up a tab for myself and maybe look at it later. Where was I? But yeah, very happy I can help that way. Martin, quick follow-up question to the one about stretching. My paper, 300 gram cold press by Hanemule, is always buckling a lot. So I was wondering why yours stays flat in the videos. Is it cotton? Any tips? Yeah, the answer is actually very simple. The only couple of times I used Hanemule, I didn't like it as much and it buckled like hell. Now, you can still paint beautiful paintings on it. Hanemule is still considered good quality. You just need to learn how to work with it. So what I would say is if you tape it and you let it dry fully, usually it will flatten out. The buckling doesn't bother me too much because I know if I frame the painting, the glass is gonna flatten it, and I also know that if I use a hairdryer while it's still taped, it's gonna flatten mostly. So I'm not too worried about that. But yes, Hanemule paper tends to buckle, at least the types I tried. Mine is cotton, yes, 100% cotton. That's the best, acid-free and all of that good stuff. Maybe the trade-off for you is to use a thicker Hanemule paper. Maybe that won't buckle as much. But for Saunders Waterford, what did it say, Joshua Waterford? For Saunders Waterford, for Arche, for even Fabriano, it won't buckle as much. So you can use 300 grams with peace of mind. And by the way, depending on what paper you buy, Hanemule isn't that cheap too, so there isn't really a benefit to it. I would just switch to Arche or Saunders if it's a similar price, Mikey's Mammy, I recently found your channel and am watching several vids every day. Even when I can't watch, I like to listen because your attitude is so motivating. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Where are you from? I'm from Israel. I cannot read your username, unfortunately, because it's in Russian, but yeah. Connie D, I use printer paper for testing colors. Interesting, yeah. Sometimes I find art supplies at Goodwill. Yeah, that's smart too. I have tons of, old, first quality paper, completely failed paintings that I just don't care for, so I'll cut it and use that as test paper. But you're correct. Printer paper should work as well. Probably, yes. Just for seeing the colors. Mike is Mammy. I started with graphite, then went to colored pencil, and I'm now looking to learn watercolor. I think starting with a graphite helps a lot with understanding tones. Exactly. Yes, graphite is, it's just shapes. It's more focused on that. You can do both, of course. You can do more linear. You can do more shape-based, which is very versatile, If anything, I should try some graphite. But yeah, I love, lifting, quote-unquote, erasing back highlights, stuff like that. I love it. Shini, what's your choice of light if the reflection of the paper are getting muddy? Ocean scene, because the other day I painted Pacific sunset with reference. Your second-degree colors help. So what part do you find is becoming muddy? Is it the shadow or reflection in the water? Sometimes I find that for the focal point, I need to use a clean color. So I'll use just a phthalo blue, very clean. Because if I do start to introduce more colors, it may end up a little, brown, muddy, not the color I wanted. For the vast majority of the painting, I am mixing quite a bit. But for the specific focal point or the specific detail, I tend to keep a clean color. And that means, by the way, that it's one of those things sometimes you need to plan. You need to know in advance, okay, this is where I'm going to place some vibrant blue reflections or shadows. So I want to keep that area a clean blue throughout the entire painting process, right? So if you've done that once, you failed, do another go, and this time learn from that, right? Learn from that lesson. That's kind of how I think about it. You may have a bit of a different experience, and seeing the painting will help me a lot, so feel free to send it over, of course. Great, thanks a lot, Martin. Yeah, it's my pleasure. Happy I could help. Linda, do you prefer loose sheets or blocks? I actually prefer loose sheets, I used to use a lot of blocks, but it's just very time-consuming to cut them. And so I would prefer, if anything, a roll, like I have here. Huge Arche roll that I just roll out and cut. I will admit, it can be very time-consuming too, to flatten the paper. I want to close the box. To flatten the paper and unroll it and to cut it, and all of that can be very time-consuming. So in terms of size, I do prefer a roll, but the best of both worlds to me is the loose sheets. The sheets, take them out. What I usually do if I need a smaller piece, I'll fold them. I don't even cut them anymore the way I used to. I used to mark the middle, cut it. I just now fold, flatten with maybe a ruler, and then cut on the line that I folded. It's much faster. Then I fold it in half, cut, fold the 2 halves in halves again. That's how I do it usually. Joshua, yeah, that's funny. Esther, I want to paint now. I want to do that tractor. I love the tractor. No matter how it turns out, I will show you. Be gentle, please. Definitely. Go ahead. We'll keep chatting, and you can, as we talk, paint it, Mikey's Miami, I switched from watching true crime to watching artistic vids. It's so much healthier for my mind. By the way, I love your accent. I'm in California, US. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, true crime, you can be really, what do they call it? The kids call it black-pilled, I think. You can be really black-pilled on a lot of stuff. I think everything is useless. Black pill, blue pill, red pill, whatever. All of those things. It's all crap. Reality is reality. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'm happy you found it. And thank you for loving my accent. Yeah, I'll probably always have an accent. But you know what's so fun? If you hear someone from Israel talk English for real with a Hebrew accent, it'll sound so weird, the way I can try and talk like that's how it sounds. It feels so weird to even do that, but if I had to imitate someone from Israel, the way they talk English sounds like that. It is very strange to listen to. That's how people here usually talk English. That's just the way it is. It's so funny. Everyone's like that. My family, my friends, everyone talks like that. So I'm kind of a hybrid of the two in a way. Probably sounds very strange to native English speakers. Katerina, I'm actually finishing a drawing now. Could I send it to you on Gmail reference and drawing for your comment? I can try some things. Yeah, feel free to send it over. I have the email address in the channel. It's liron@lironyan.com. Send it over. I'll take a look. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'll just say CHN. Hi, Liron. From Korea. I didn't know live stream started. Yeah, it's usually 9 a.m. Eastern time, same time. Thank you for being here. I didn't really share a link this time, so my bad. Sorry about that. I skipped Shinyi. Thanks. Thank you. Where is send? Yeah, it's just liron@lironyan.com. Go to the channel, to the About tab. Get the email address there. Joshua, I love my last name. It is such a coincidence because I'm an artist, yes. It would be really funny for me to discover there's a Jankowski paper. It's so... It sounds almost ridiculous, but that's because, yeah, my name is... To begin with, it's a bit weird. Admittedly. But yeah. So, yeah, I keep feeling this, so I wanted to say I'm sticking to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's another update I may share with you. It's been one hell of a journey. So far, on average, every couple of weeks, maybe every 5 weeks or so, I get an injury that puts me out, doesn't allow me to practice for 2 weeks, 3 weeks on average. Very annoying. I had a couple of, I thought it was ribs, but then I did some research. It's the intercostal muscle strain. So I had here, a bunch of them just probably did a wrong move, or someone smashed me too much, and then the muscle was strained, and then it hurts. So the worst one I had was really painful. Breathing hurts, coughing, doing this also hurt. But then gradually it went away, and it was more light kind of muscle strain. So the last one I had, someone again kind of shaved me with their knee or something, and I immediately felt a crack, a weird crack. Yeah, Patio. Hey, Patio. I think you didn't comment so far. From Judo, same thing. Judo is worse because you keep, dropping people down, right? It's a lot of takedowns. BJJ is not as much takedowns, but so yeah, someone shaved almost their knee on my rib, and I immediately felt a little crack. So I immediately told the coach, I'm out. The poor guy that was with me, much heavier than me, but it wasn't his fault. It's just my muscles weren't strong enough. Maybe I did a weird twitch too, I don't know. But I told him, no, it's cool. It was so much less painful than the previous times, but I already knew I need to pause now, not to push it, put ice on it immediately. So I immediately iced it for the duration of the whatever was left of the lesson, class, whatever, and then it wasn't that bad. Funny enough, It hurt only in doing one exercise at the gym, and that was bench press. So the act, not even the bench press itself, so if you know, the act of bringing the weights out from where they are and bringing them forward, that was the painful bit. It was so annoying. But as soon as it was above me, this was above the chest, it was okay. But when it's a little from the back and I had to bring it up, that was a nightmare. But other than that, it was all very minor stuff, and I'm really enjoying it. Yesterday was one of my best workouts, I think. I really started to feel like I'm getting it. Of course, I know nothing. I've been there for probably 6 months, but practice time probably 5 or 4.5 because of all of the breaks. I know nothing. I understand nothing. I can still not, first you do some drilling and then you do live sparring, full force, just sparring. Not full, but 70% maybe. Even in live sparring, I cannot recall the moves we learn. I'm still, a little peanut in the world of BJJ. But yesterday I felt like, I'm able to defend more. I'm able to notice when a choke comes and I'm able to defend it. I can barely sweep anyone or go, usually I end up at the bottom and it's very hard for me to sweep and go back to be on top. But I did improve. I improved in maintaining my guard. Yesterday I was able to, this is so niche and boring for most people, but someone was trying to pass my guard to the right. I was sitting down like a butterfly. Someone was trying to pass, and I was able to put a leg on their hip and rotate with them, just face them. That was probably the first time I managed to do it in a live sparring session. So yeah, so it's great fun. And I feel like it really changes, not change aspects about me, but it helps me discover aspects that were just lost for decades, probably, that I have never thought about. That confrontational energy, It's not that it's confrontational, it's super good vibes and good sports. Everyone there is really kind. But, it's a fight after all. You're trying to submit the other person. So, yeah. Where were we? Petio? Yeah, Katerina, I never imagined painting watercolor. Thought it was unforgiving, but after watching watercolor tutorials, had me hooked. Yep, it is. And now I'm drawn like a magnet to any I might see hanging on a wall. Yep, watercolor is contagious. Yes, that transparency and that flow, nothing can beat that. Jan's art, rib pain. Did you change your profile pic? Congrats on the new one. Rib pain is horrible. I've broken ribs 3 times. Oh man. How did that happen, if you don't mind sharing? Some people just have a terrible cough and maybe a moment of weakness and they can break. Yeah, I don't think I was close to that. I don't think it was even a fracture ever. We still don't do too many takedowns, which basically means you shoot and grab a person, drop them down to the ground. I do very little of it, so that's mostly the risk, for the knee and all of that. I try to be careful, I do the old man role, even though I'm not that old. There are people that are much older than me. There are a lot of people there in their 40s, 50s, I think, too, that are, black belt, brown belts that are really strong. But yeah, it's been a great fun. And also, there were a lot of moments of frustration, a lot of strong emotions, a lot of, especially after bad classes, a lot of tough moments mentally. But when I remove all of that, during class, in the moment, most of the time it's huge fun. So that's been great. I've been doing it twice a week. Would have loved doing more, but I end up, taking a break anyway every couple of weeks. So trying to prioritize longevity, being actually able to do this for, I don't know, as long as I want to, honestly. Decade, 2 decades. Don't care about, the belts and all of that stuff. I don't care about that at all. Just want to be able to continue doing it. Katrina, my nephew competed in BJJ and has since transitioned to submission fighting and has his black belt and teaches. Oh, that's really cool. I'm not sure what submission fighting is, so let me Google that. I'll read later. I didn't know that's a thing. I know MMA and I know all of that. Submission. Oh, okay. Submission wrestling. I think that's way worse than BJJ in terms of, danger and safety. I mean, everything can be safe, I have a good friend who rides bicycle doing trails, hills, and jumps. That's more dangerous than BJJ even. Submission grappling, submission fighting, competitive martial arts. I'm going to read about it later on. I didn't know it's a thing. That's very interesting. at the end of the day, you can have an injury sitting on the couch at home. So, yep. But yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I've been letting myself mainly just do the things I want. No, Katrina, you're good. I see there are many different ways to call. There are many. It has many different names. So yeah, you probably are correct. These things are so messy. Everything has a lot of names to it. But yeah, Alex, hey, how are you? Says Shalom. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I think now it's a good time to start wrapping it up. If you have any kind of questions before I do, feel free to drop them now. I will probably go back to working on my digital painting. I'm so absorbed in it. Maybe I'll eat something and then do that. Jan said, I read the message, even though it's retracted. Taking risks is good for you. Some calculated risks, yes. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really allowing this whatever it is that I'm doing carry me. I think that's pretty much the only way to do this long term. I love sharing my art. I love sharing the lessons, and I want to do it in a very very true way. And if anything, I feel like I'm moving really close to that. So hopefully that will improve the overall experience and the learning value and all of those stuff. I was just going to correct the typo. Yeah, cool, but I managed to read it. Design diaries. Hi, Liron. I think you use a lot of grays in your paintings, are a bit and your paintings are a bit less saturated. Do you consider going towards more vibrant colors anytime soon? Design diaries, that's sometimes my mistake. Sometimes I plan for things to be more vibrant and they end up not being vibrant enough. Sometimes I do plan for things to be very gray and muted. I love the nuance of grays. I love it. But, with that said, sometimes I see very vibrant paintings and I love them. I think it's just not my natural go-to. But maybe it's something worth exploring. Sometimes I will feel like doing something very vibrant. Sometimes I'll succeed. Sometimes I won't. But yes, it's a good observation. I do tend to play around in the nuances of grays a lot. Sometimes too much for my own good. But yeah, it's interesting. Design diaries, are you more interested in a vibrant style? And you're looking to maybe know if I'll do something about that in the future? Let me know. I'm curious. Saras, any tips for dealing with backgrounds in watercolor when you have one specific subject? Yeah, it's one of those weird things where, for example, this one that I demoed, right? In the background here. One of those things that very often I will really dislike how the background turned out. The color doesn't match with the rest, doesn't work well. I think it's a matter of taste and discovering the taste, right? So you have the type of way or approach to doing backgrounds that you will love and enjoy, and you like the result and you'll enjoy the process. You just don't know what it is sometimes in the beginning. And especially if you have one specific, maybe a still life subject in the middle and you want to put a background around it, you won't know until you try a few times. So if anything, it's a matter of exploration. The fundamentals do go into it. So for example, if you have something like, where's the portrait? Don't know where it is. It's probably over there. The background there wasn't dark enough to make the lights pop. So sometimes the background plays some kind of a utility, right? It contrasts the value or the color. So these are some of the things I think about, but these are just tools and components. The real magic lies in how you use them, if that makes sense, right? That's the best I can do without giving you a specific advice, because I do want you to maybe discover on your own, find your own taste, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Linda, when painting flower bouquets, I struggle with what to do with the backgrounds. Help. Yeah, so same thing, same advice, right? It's pretty much the same thing. Now, if you look at, I have a video on painting a flower bouquet. Let me share a link because it's very hard to find. I don't know why. Liron floral flower bouquet watercolor. I have no idea why this video is so hard to find by searching for it. Thanks, YouTube. There we go. Yeah, it's called How to Paint Flowers Without Actually Painting Flowers. I'm going to share the link here. Check it out. Look at how I did the background there. I think it's an interesting exercise in backgrounds. Sometimes I'll interpret or reinterpret the existing background. Sometimes I'll invent. If you have something to work off of, you can just use that, of course. Sometimes you won't. Then you'll invent it. So I hope it makes sense. Libre. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's been a couple of years since buying your book, How to Sketch People Anywhere, Anytime online. And I've never said thank you for writing it. It's been a great help, as are all your videos. Wow, thank you so much. I mean, thank you for getting the book. I really, really appreciate it. Whenever someone I don't know why books are special to me. Whenever someone purchases a book, it's cool. Even if it's digital, but mostly physical. I'm like, wow, that's cool. Someone has something that I made physically. Thank you. Much, much appreciated. Regina, thank you very much for the answers and your vids. They are all very helpful. Thank you. So they are very helpful. Not all. I added that all in there. Design diaries. Actually, I get inspired by Alvaro Castanet, and I know he has figured out the use of grays completely. Yes, he's very great. However, I think it's more about the extreme contrast and less about saturation. I would definitely like you to go vibrant and see your unique style. Well, yeah, Alvaro Castanet is the same thing. He doesn't have many vibrant colors, but the ones that are vibrant really jump in contrast with the grays and all of that. So it's very relative, contextual, bigger picture, nuances of how everything works together, all of that kind of good stuff. Katerina, thank you. Happy this will help you. Mike is Mammy. I started teaching myself to draw about 2 years ago, and now I'm at a level of realism pet portraiture. Oh, that's really fun. Yeah, that's cool. I'm looking forward to the looseness and personal creativity that watercolor seems to offer. Yeah, that's a fun direction to explore, especially with animal and fur and all of that good stuff. You can do quite a bit there, develop your own unique style, and end up creating a product too, a portrait that people will enjoy a lot. Design, how do you make the live comments appear in your live video? Would love to know. I'm using OBS. It's a streaming software, OBS. It's a really good one. You can do anything with it. If you're looking for a specific, there's an element there called what element is it? I think it's just a URL or web URL kind of a thing with custom CSS. I'm not sure what element it is. Let me find out. It is a browser. It's called browser. You add it, you paste the URL that is the YouTube chat's URL. You do pop-up window. There are a lot of tutorials there that explain it better than I can. But it's easy. It's very easy, actually. All you need is a webcam and OBS that is free. You can do whatever you want with it. It's really fun. I love that, too. Sometimes the chat goes missing when the live stream ends. So this is actually a great way to make sure it's almost backed up. The only problem with that is if someone writes something not so nice that it will stay on the screen, but who cares? Joshua, this video was helpful. Thank you. Liron, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. Mike is Miami, not sure what it was, but feel free anyway to drop me an email, anyone, if you have follow-ups. Oh, let's see, last one. Weistemd, I'm just pronouncing it like that, I don't know why. Will you be using AI image generators to assist you in watercolor? I already am. To a very limited extent. It's more like to find a very specific reference to an element within a scene. Yes, sometimes it can be very useful. It could be great as a reference for light and shadow too. But again, for specific elements, I find it works best. Like you have a tree, you're not sure how to do it. You write a prompt for the software, then it produces something that works and you can incorporate it. Or for overall compositions as well. I find it to be very useful. So yeah, I am using them. I don't see a problem with it anyway. It's like I'm painting from a photo. It's so... what do you call it? Not derivative, but the other thing. That, yeah, I don't mind that as much. And I'm sure my paintings end up somewhere in an AI engine, whatever. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon. Don't know if there will be a Saturday video. Hopefully there will. Cannot promise yet. But I really appreciate you being here. And hopefully next week, same time, another live stream. Take care. I really, really do appreciate everyone who's been here and who's stuck to the end, especially. Thank you so much. Check out the course if you want to, frustration free if you haven't. I'm going to post the process to Patreon in the next couple of, probably a week and a half. So keep your eyes peeled for that if you're over there. We'll talk to you again real soon. Until next time, take care.